Eagle 4. They're in position. Don't you get the game yet? Marty, on the fire! He's on the line.
Look, I'm sure we can watch it that way.
Finish, Jack. Rated R. Eagle 4. Only here.
So you have a lot of different elements in play here. Joel Schumacher directing this, written by Larry Cohen, who was mostly known back in the day for writing a lot of blaxploitation and horror and science fiction films. But then he did stuff like Maniac Cop and its 2 sequels, and then he did Cellular, Captivity, and then this film as well. And then you also have a film produced by David Zucker, that David Zucker of the Naked Gun movies. So a lot of different elements in terms of behind the camera. But then you have Colin Farrell, who we talked about before with Daredevil, had a number of different movies come out in 2003. And then you also have Kiefer Sutherland, who you clearly hear Jack Bauer when you hear him as the guy on the phone. And then you also have Katie Holmes, Forrest Whitaker as the cop, Radha Mitchell is also in here as well. The story here is that you have a malevolent hidden sniper played by Sutherland who calls a phone booth, and when a young publicist inside answers the phone, he quickly finds his life is at risk. And this was one of those films that was delayed, not because of 9/11, but because of something that happened a year before. In October 2002, the film was supposed to be released in November, and then it got pushed back because of the DC sniper attacks that happened. So they pushed it back into April, and the rest is kind of history. The film actually did very well with critics. It was a major box office hit. The film itself is really good up until it gets to the final couple minutes. I mean, it's a film that has everything going for it, but the ending, I think, is a little bit of a cop-out. And I think that's many people's complaints about the film, is that the ending does feel like a cop-out in a big way, and I don't think it's that big of a cop-out, but it's definitely a cop-out. It feels like something that's completely out of the norm for the rest of the film, because the rest of the film is really damn good, and it's mostly because of the performances by Colin Farrell and Kiefer Sutherland, as well as Forrest Whitaker. Like, Colin Farrell's really good in the film, and it's not I'll say this, it's a bad ending, but it's not an ending that completely ruins the overall enjoyment of the film. I still found a lot of elements to enjoy about this film in particular. And really, it's surprising how much they're able to do it, because this thing is mercifully short. It's only 81 minutes long, so that's barely... It's not even hitting an hour and a half in terms of the length of this movie, and yet here it is. But like, it would have been really great, probably one of the best movies of the year, had it not had that ending that was goes for a little bit too much of a cop-out ending. I feel like if this film had a better ending to it, this easily would have been one of the best films of the year. But as it is, it's a film that's pretty good. And for Joel Schumacher, after a couple of bad movies he did between Batman and Robin and this, it was a nice return to form for him, and it actually gave him kind of an opportunity to kind of get back into form. He made a couple of other films after this, which weren't the best well-received films, but they were certainly a lot better than what he had done before, in between Batman and Robin and this. But like I said, if the ending had been better, I think this would have been one of the best films of the year. But as it is, it's still a really damn good thriller, and one I can easily recommend to people. Phone Booth. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Amanda Bynes and Colin Firth in What a Girl Wants.
What you need.
According to this, clean your daughter.
When you see what you want, don't let anything
Kill her. I'm not going anywhere.
stand in the way.
What do you say we get the party started?
No.
Me?
Amanda Bynes.
She is so nice.
Why are you trying so hard to fit in? You're born to stand out.
What a girl wants. Mr. Wallace, yes, see.
So am I, man. I'm not even cute yet.
Rated PG. Now playing.
One of those movies that, once again, you realize that Amanda Bynes really had a lot of comedic potential and had a lot of possibilities, but then her career just took that downfall, and just like, I miss this Amanda Bynes, man. But What a Girl Wants, shockingly does not have that song by Christina Aguilera, which is amazing to think about, because it's kind of like with The Hangover and that Katy Perry song, Waking Up in Vegas. How is that song not featured in that movie? But in this movie, you have Amanda Bynes as a 17-year-old girl who goes to England to meet the father she never knew. So it's kind of like The Princess Diaries in a way, kind of a little bit of a lesser version of The Princess Diaries. And it's a film that, because The Princess Diaries, as much as I don't have that appeal to that movie like everybody else does, you can still look at that movie and find a lot of value to it because of the performances by Anne Hathaway and Julie Andrews. But in this particular film, it just feels like Warner Brothers is trying to create their own Princess Diaries. It's a film that sadly does not have that same spark that film does, that nice charm to it. As much as Amanda Bynes is trying her best here to save it, it kind of goes where you think it's going to go here. It's a film that's more on the appealing line for strictly kids, strictly little girls. I think girls in particular get a kick out of it. A guy like me, per se, like, as much as I love Amanda Bynes, it's definitely something that I'd be like, nah. She's not really. She's doing her best, the best she can, but she's not really saving the movie from anything too spectacular. I mean, a critic put it in the best words. It's a sanitized adventure for the Mary-Kate and Ashley set, which is funny because this director, Denny Gordon, guess what his next movie is? The one Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie that went to the big screen and was a huge flop, and that was New York Minute. And we'll get to that one in the next year, but, yeah. Talk about a coincidence there. But, as far as this film goes, there actually was a controversy, too, because before the U.S. release of the film, there was actually advertisements where they were forced to remove the peace sign that Amanda Bynes was giving in the poster because of the invasion of Iraq by the U.S. in 2003, and Warner Brothers basically said, in a time of war, we made a slight alteration so that we can avoid any potential political statement in a completely non-political film, which, okay, I guess, I mean, they did the same thing with the Spider-Man teaser poster when the 9/11 attacks happened. I mean, I guess it's okay I guess you could do that, I guess, but I don't know. I don't think anybody would have really given that much of a deal to this movie if they kept it in there. And I think they actually did put it back on for the DVD of it, the VHS and DVD later on in the year. I could be wrong on that, though. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, like I said, as far as this movie goes, Amanda Bynes is probably the best thing about the film, but even her performance in this really can't save the film in general. It's a film that just is... It's a watered-down version of The Princess Diaries, really, when you really look at it. It's just... I guess little kids will like it, little girls in particular, but someone like me, I really didn't get a kick out of it for obvious reasons, because it really wasn't made for me, per se. But I saw it because I like Amanda Bynes, and I just wish they'd given her I just wish they'd give her a better film to work with here. But I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here. Vin Diesel trying to follow up his success with Triple X the year before with A Man Apart.
That's what I tell your colleagues, crew, and law enforcement. Let the games begin. Push to the edge. Let's roll! Driven to the limit. Now there's hell to pay. You didn't think I was going to get to it? Vin Diesel is. A Man Apart. I don't know how you stayed alive this long. Rated R. Starts Friday.
Directed by F. Gary Gray, Vin Diesel stars as an undercover DEA agent who is on a vendetta to take down a mysterious drug lord named Diablo after his wife is murdered. And the drug lord's played by Lorenz Tate. You also have Tim Oliphant from Justified, Gino Silva, Steve Easton. That's really all you got for this film. This is really not a good movie, and probably one of the worst films F. Gary Gray has directed. And I mean, this is a guy that has made some pretty bad movies as of late. The Fate of the Furious, Men in Black International, Lift this year, and Lift's already considered for me as one of the worst movies of the year. But this is a film that's just kind of like, it was kind of one of the few times where it was the first time from F. Gary Gray that you saw a film that was just like, yeah, this really was a big misfire on so many levels. Friday was a great movie. Set It Off was good. Negotiator was good too, but not as great as it could have been. But this was the first film from him that really felt like a film that was just kind of like, your talents are really being wasted on a film like this. And even for Vin Diesel too. I get Vin Diesel's trying to do something different compared to what he had done beforehand, a more serious film, but you need a better script than this, man. I mean, this is one of those films where he tried to go outside of his norm with this and Knock Around Guys, but it didn't work. Both of these movies didn't work because they were too generic. They were too cliched. You knew exactly where they were going for it. This is basically a watered down version of Death Wish in a way, except it's Vin Diesel as the main character instead of Charlie Bronson. But even the canon sequels of Death Wish were more legitimate than this movie here, and that's the sad thing about it, because you see Vin Diesel's trying his best to do something outside of his norm, and he's really putting his all into it. But like with Amanda Bynes and What a Girl Wants, he can't save the film if the script isn't that good. It's a film you've seen done to death so many times, it runs for way too long, and nobody really wanted to see him in a movie like this without a good script to work with. And, yeah, what can you say about that one I haven't already said already? One of F. Gary Gray's worst films, one of Vin Diesel's biggest disappointments. The potential was there, just a bad script really hurts itself in the long run when it's all said and done. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. Eddie Griffin's stand-up comedy film, Dysfunctional Family.
Eddie Griffin is taking on his family, one relative at a time.
Has anybody in here ever had their mama try to run him over with a car? I know I ain't the only one. I went to whoop him and he turned around and hit me. It was like The Exorcist. Her head spin around. That guy's an Uncle Curtis that wants to be a porno star.
Pre-sold the Flow Part 21.
He'll show you porno starring him.
Eddie Griffin Live. Dysfunctional family.
So in this movie, it's a live concert film starring Eddie Griffin performing his stand-up act. The central theme of the concept is family and how Griffin's difficult yet loving clan helped him become a star. Griffin introduces his family via anecdotes and documentary footage, relating infamous tales, including how his mother once chased him down with a car, how an uncle's drug abuse almost destroyed him, and the pride another uncle takes in his prestigious pornography collection. Ideas that could be funny, but this is no Eddie Murphy Raw. This is no Delirious. This isn't even a Martin Lawrence live Run Tell That. This is just a film that just feels like everybody else is doing a stand-up movie, so I feel like I need to do one too. And not saying that everything about this is bad. There are times when there are some legitimately funny moments, but it kind of feels like one of the later Kevin Hart films. Like you get laughs from it, but you never really feel like you get the right amount of laughs that you could say that you should recommend this. I mean, Eddie Griffin is a star, but he's no Eddie Murphy. He's no Martin Lawrence, where you see a new stand-up film from him. He's no Dave Chappelle. Whenever you see a new stand-up special with them, you want to see what they're going to do, because you know you're going to laugh really hard if it's done very well. And those Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, and Dave Chappelle have done it very well in the past. Eddie Griffin, not so much. I mean, like I said, a couple of times it does get some good laughs, but not enough for me to say that I should recommend it. I guess if you are a hardcore Eddie Griffin fan, I think you can find some value in it. But me personally, I just felt like it was a film that at times had some decent moments, but not enough for me to say you got to check this movie out. So take that for what you will. Dysfunctional family just didn't work for me personally. So let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here, which is Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
Say your prayers.
So technically, this was released back in 2001 in Japan, actually 11 days before September 11th in Japan, and didn't come out in the U.S. until August 11th, 2002, which then got a big theatrical release this weekend. Take that for what you will, because I certainly don't know how that releasing strategy works, but you have a film here that's basically set between episode 22 and 23 of the show, where you center around a mysterious terrorist planning to exterminate the human population of Mars by releasing a virus. The bounty hunter crew of the spaceship Bebop works to capture the terrorist and prevent the attack. Now, I'm not a big Cowboy Bebop person, not because I've never had any interest in the character. I just never really had an interest in the show in particular. But I know recently the Netflix show has kind of enlightened everybody's peak in interest in the show again. But for me, I just was never really that big of a person. I really wanted to check the show out. But not to say that the characters are bad in any way, shape, or form, or anything about this is interesting and all that. So you can kind of see why I didn't really delve into this too much. I didn't really see this movie in full. I feel like little bits and pieces here and there. And I thought, that definitely looks like something from the TV show, and it does look like it's on a bigger, grander scale compared to what the TV show had. That's really all I got for you, man, because I really, like I said, I haven't seen the show, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say for certain if it's any good, if it's really good. I'm guessing it's really good. It's got positive reviews from the fans of the show, so I guess they like it, but other than that, though, there's not much more I can really say about this film because I haven't seen it, but, came out this weekend, might as well bring it up. Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
I'm Mr. Busnick's anger management therapist.
Temporarily.
Dr. Buddy Rydell is taking Dave Busnick.
How about a kiss?
I'd love a kiss.
I think she's talking to me.
Into the world of anger management.
If you fail his program, you will spend the next year in state prison.
La 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 la. Anger management.
In Europe, it's not considered unusual for 3 or 4 men to share a bed.
That's why I'm proud to be an American.
Rated PG-13. Opens April 11th.
This is, of course, a movie where you have a businessman played by Adam Sandler who's sentenced to anger management under a renowned therapist with unconventional methods, that guy being Jack Nicholson. And Adam Sandler had a pretty good stretch of movies starting with this, with him and director Peter Siegel, who I've talked about before as a director that I usually like a lot of his movies, even the films that are considered lesser films. But this is one of those ones where I really do like this movie a lot. I like Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson working off each other. I mean, it's got a really good cast, especially for a Happy Madison movie. You got them, Marissa Tomei, Woody Harrelson, John Turturro, Luis Guzman. I mean, there's a really good cast in here. The film overall is very, very funny. I think it's a very intriguing film. I think the comedy overall is very good. Maybe it's not the most intelligent movie. It's very much a lackluster comedy in terms of like the story development. You can kind of figure out where it's going to go, how it's going to pan out in the end. But I just like the camaraderie between Sandler and Nicholson. I think they have good chemistry together. I think they have a ton of fun working off each other. It's just a fun idea in general. And just a strong cast overall. It's just a film that just is really... It's really just a ton of fun to watch. It's a film, like, it's really, really funny stuff. Not the best writing overall in terms of story. It's, again, something you've seen done over and over again, but this is a film that I really liked a lot. I thought it was very good. I thought it was really enjoyable. I like it a lot. Anger Management. Made for a pretty good TV series, too, with Charlie Sheen, too, later on down the road. But that is Anger Management. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Rob Schneider. This would be a whole different movie if it was Rob Schneider in it. Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah, try to imagine Rob Schneider in a movie like that. In this film, you have a group of teenagers who are kidnapped and tortured by a psychotic family during Halloween after traveling across the country to write a book. This is actually the first part of Rob Schneider's Rob Zombie's Firefly trilogy. And it was a film that went through various different studios. Like, Universal had it at one point, and then Universal basically had to, like... They basically asked Rob Zombie to tone it down, and he eventually had the project scrapped. So he took it to other studios. He essentially took it over to MGM, and MGM was going to release it, but then they refused to release it because of a controversial remark from Zombie claiming that the company had no morals for releasing the film. And then Zombie said he was going to release the film himself without the backing of a production company. And then Lionsgate picked it up, and the rest is kind of history, because the film did eventually find a following, even though it wasn't a huge hit financially and wasn't a big critical hit in particular. The thing only cost $7 million to make, and it made double that. And it did go on to have this big cult following to the point where Universal has basically said, "We're sorry. Come back to our theme park and do a Halloween Horror Nights of it, please." And of course, it's led to 2 sequels. And it's definitely a film that you could tell that Rob Zombie really took a lot of inspiration from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes, the original ones, not the re-releases. But it's a film that really does show what Rob Zombie can do as a director. His last couple films as a director have not been very good. I mean, the Halloween movies, the Munsters. But this is the film that shows you what this guy can do as a director. And this and The Devil's Rejects, I think, are perfect examples of what this guy is capable of as a director. And I think he does a pretty good job handling it. I think it's a solid film, a really good black comedy horror film. It's a film that really is... It definitely shows the best of what Rob Zombie can do as a filmmaker, and you kind of wish he'd do more stuff like this, honestly. So, not much more to say about that one. That's A House of a Thousand Corpses. Let's go ahead and move on to James Cameron's first film since Titanic, and that is Ghost of the Abyss.
Award-winning director James Cameron is about to change the way you watch movies forever with a 3D real-life journey back to the Titanic. On April 11th, prepare for an unscripted, groundbreaking, historic motion picture event. Ghosts of the Abyss, an immersive 3D adventure, rated G. Advanced tickets now on sale. Call 1-888-DISNEY-6.
The real sequel to the Titanic. In a way, it's kind of true, but this is actually a documentary where James Cameron returns to the site of the wreck of the Titanic aboard the Russian research vessel Akademik Mislave Keldysh. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I could be completely wrong on that. With a team of history and marine experts and his friend Bill Paxton. Cameron and the crew document the interiors and exteriors of the wreckage using 3D technology designed for the documentary. While diving on September 11, 2001, the film crew hears about the 9/11 attacks and on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Afterward, they compare and reflect on the tragedy of 9/11 with the tragedy of the Titanic. So, talk about a big difference, a big coincidence that this happened on 9/11. They were doing this on 9/11. They said, let's also add in 9/11 to our movie. Why not? And made for a pretty good documentary. I'm not gonna lie. It's a movie that is really is an incredible looking film. It shows a lot of cool underwater scenes. Like, even though I saw this on a small screen, this was pretty much intended for IMAX. It's a film that really looks impressive, and they do a pretty good job of handling some of the CG to superimpose the ship's original appearance on the deep dive images in general. It's just really cool to see the wreckage that's still down there. Even I think it was still. I could be wrong, but I think they actually got rid of it a couple years ago. But it is cool to see them go down there and see that wreckage is still there, and it's just incredible to watch in general. It's a film that's really engaging. It's a film that's really interesting to watch. It's a movie that really is a ton of fun to watch and see how great these shots can look. I mean, these are really cool, good-looking shots underwater, which you don't think you could get. But with the cameras that they have here, it works to perfection. I think it works very well for this film's advantages. It's a really good film. I highly recommend checking it out. It's definitely an underrated documentary. Goes to the abyss. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last one we have here, and that is Better Luck Tomorrow.
It was the most controversial movie at the Sundance Film Festival. Now audiences are discovering
It's easy money.
you should never underestimate
It'll be fun.
an overachiever.
Get away with anything, don't you?
You're clever enough.
Better Luck Tomorrow was provided for each Rolling Stone.
Does it feel to be famous? Better than sex.
A fun, sexy, scary powerhouse. 2 big thumbs up.
Boom!
Better Luck Tomorrow.
Very hard.
Rated R. Starts Friday. Now go.
Justin Lin's big breakout film as a filmmaker. He made one other film before that called Shopping for Fangs, but I'm not too familiar with that one. But this is the first time I ever heard about him. I think a lot of people, for the first time, they heard about him through this movie. You have a story that's about Asian American overachievers who become bored with their lives and enter a world of petty crime and material excess. It tells a fictional story of youth violence, drawing inspiration from several sources, including the Columbine shootings and the murder of Stuart Tay, a teenager from Orange County, California. And it's interesting because MC Hammer, of all people, actually led to the funding of this movie. And MC Hammer was not the same guy that he was when he was popular, but he had enough money to say, hey, I'll give you the funding for this movie, and he's one of the producers on here, and that's something I never really knew about. But this is a really good film. It's a film that plays these characters out in very unique ways. It's a very intense and disturbing film. It's a film that shows these characters played very well by these actors. You know, you got Perry Sheen, Jason Tobin, Sung Kang, John Cho, some really good actors in general here. And it's a film that really is captivating to watch in a lot of ways. And it's a film that asks a lot of questions, and it's a really interesting representation of Asian Americans in the movies, because it's funny because one of the most notable things that happened with this movie was when Roger Ebert was at the Sundance Film Festival in 2002, and there was a guy in the audience saying that he thought it was irresponsible to portray Asian Americans in such a negative way. And Roger Ebert basically just told that guy to shut the fuck up and let him do whatever they want to do with it.
Screening at the library, this guy gets up. He praises us about the filmmaking and the performances, and then I think a lot of times in films, there's not enough discourse, you know, and I think this was made for that, and it felt good to actually get that in return. This guy feels like he has the right to tell us how we are supposed to exist in the world. And then Roger Ebert gets up.
What I find very offensive and condescending about your statement is nobody would say to a bunch of white filmmakers, how could you do this to your people? This film has the right to be about these people, and Asian American characters have the right to be whoever the hell they want to be. They do not have to represent their people.
It's at the store.
And that right there is why Roger Ebert's the greatest film critic ever, and nobody will ever be able to top him. And because of that, MTV eventually bought the film, and the rest is history. And the film is it's a really good film, and I'm actually kind of surprised that there's a lot of connections to, of all things, the Fast and the Furious series, where you have Kang actually reprising his role from this movie into the Fast and Furious films, and it was basically seen as it was basically retconned as an origin story for Han in the Fast and Furious movies, which is really incredible to think about here. And it's amazing how this small little film could lead into the Fast and Furious movies in that way, shape, or form. The ways this movie got made, man, it's just a fascinating story of how the film got made, how the film basically got the attention that it needed, and it was just a really damn good movie. It's a film that is really well done. It's really interesting material that they have in this film. It's just a film that just captivates you in so many different ways. I really like the film a lot. I think it's an underrated little gem. If you haven't seen this movie, I'd highly recommend checking it out because it is indeed worth it. Better luck tomorrow.
The nation's top critics are all raving about Holes.
Once upon a time, there was a magical place where it never rained. Oh, damn.
The New York Times calls Holes the best film released by an American studio this year. Entertainment Weekly says it's easy to dig.
What'd you find?
4 stars. Roger Ebert calls it original and intriguing. It's a great, great movie. Sigourney Weaver, John Boyce, Patricia Arquette, Shia LaBeouf. Holes. The book is now the movie. The movie is now a hit. Rated PG now playing.
First of all, that critic that said, the first great film by an American studio this year. How dare you question the tactics of, how dare you question the Warner Brothers for their masterpiece of Kangaroo Jack and Dreamcatcher, or Fox with Daredevil, or Disney with Bringing Down the House, or, the more I think about it, they're probably right on that front, but, this is, of course, Holes, based off the Louis Sachar book, who actually wrote the script for this film, and, if you remember the story of Holes, you have a young boy named Stanley Yelnats IV, played by Shia LaBeouf for his feature film debut after many years on Even Stevens on Disney Channel. He's accused of stealing a pair of cleats from a Major League Baseball player and is sent to Camp Green Lake, which is a dry lake bed in the middle of the desert. It never rains at Camp Green Lake, it hasn't for 100 years, and the secret of a mysterious warden has inmates spend every day digging one hole to build character. But when an artifact from the famous Kissing Kate Barlow is found in a hole, the warden forces the boys to work double time, leading Stanley to deduce that they're digging behind the warden. They're digging because the warden is looking for something, but what? And how is the mystery of Camp Green Lake connected to Stanley's family curse? Interesting enough, this is directed by Andrew Davis, who's directed movies like Under Siege, The Fugitive, Chain Reaction, A Perfect Murder, Collateral Damage, Above the Law, mostly action films in particular. So it's very interesting to see him go down a different direction, even though this is technically this is the second to last film as a director, because his next film would be Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher in The Guardian, which would be more of a return to form for him from what he did before. But this is a chance for him to do something kind of outside of his norm, and I thought he did a pretty good job with it. I remember reading the story of Holes as a kid in high school. We read it during our English class, and I never really saw the movie until very much later down the road, but I was really glad I finally did, because it does a pretty good job of adapting the story into the book. I think the cast overall is very good. You've got a really good cast in general. These young actors that they have in here are very good. You got Sigourney Weaver, John Voight, Tim Blake Nelson, Henry Winkler, just a really good veteran cast to be along for the ride here. Patricia Arquette, you got Ken Davidian from Borat also in here as well as Rick Fox. I mean, there's a really good cast. Eartha Kitt, they really pack a punch in this film in terms of bringing these people in here, and I think they do a very good job of handling the script in this. And for Shia LaBeouf, it's a chance to show what he can do as a leading actor in a film, because of course we're still 4 years away from his breakout year with Disturbia, Transformers, and then following that up the year later with Indiana Jones. But this is a really damn good movie. It's a really good adaptation of the book. Even if you never read the book, you can still find a lot to really get out of it. Like, it's very interesting to see something different from the director of The Fugitive, who's usually doing action films for a living, do something completely outside of his norm. And I think he did a pretty good job of handling that and bringing the story to the big screen. It's a film that's really well done. Definitely one of the more underrated Disney movies, honestly. It's one that has a pretty good soundtrack, too. I mean, once you hear that song, Dig It Up, Oh, Oh, you'll never get it out of your head for at least a week. I mean, that's at least I didn't get it out of my head every time I heard it when I was a kid, watching it on the Disney Channel whenever they played the music video for it. But it's a really damn good, catchy song. But, not much more to say about that one. Holes, definitely a film I recommend. I probably wouldn't recommend our next movie, joining the category of bringing down the house at head of state of movies with white people trying to be black, making it the centerpiece of the film, or maybe not. I mean, Okay, Head of State was technically not that, but there was definitely a lot of elements of white people trying to be black in that. But bottom line, here is Jamie Kennedy bringing one of his characters from the Jamie Kennedy Experiment to the big screen in Malibu's Most Wanted.
I'm the shiznit. Oh, shut up, stupid.
One white brother. It's gonna be one bad mother.
Shut your mouth. I'm Malibu's most wanted, y'all. This is my sizzle. So Rizzo, my Rizzo. Don't be hating.
Malibu's Most Wanted.
Could I kiss you?
I'll offer you a snack, not the whole kitchen.
Rated PG-13. Starts this Friday.
Okay, to be perfectly honest, if I was in that same position, I probably would have done the same thing. I mean, it is Regina Hall after all. I like Regina Hall. That's not what's important here. What is important is this movie, which is Malibu's Most Wanted, which is written by the creators of Mad TV, Faxbaugh and Adam Small, and also based off of a character that was in Jamie Kennedy's WB show, the hidden camera show, The Jamie Kennedy Experiment, which was actually a really funny show. And he was playing all these different characters, and it was kind of a criminally underrated show. It only ran for a couple years on the WB. It was actually kind of fun to see Jamie Kennedy do all these different characters in general here. He also did this in his stand-up routine as well. But sometimes when you bring these sketch comedy characters to the big screen, you really need to have a good script or good comedy to really make it worthy of a feature film adaptation. And for this one, not so much. You have Jamie Kennedy as B-Rad, who is a spoof of Eminem's character B-Rabbit from 8 Mile, and he is the son of Senator Bill Gluckman, played by Ryan O'Neal in this movie, who is running for governor of California and fears his son is a distraction on the campaign trail. With Brad's aspirations of becoming a rapper and his glamorization of gang life, to that end, Gluckman's campaign manager hires 2 actors to stage an abduction to bring Brad to an inner-city neighborhood where he will learn to behave himself, and I'm sure that's going to turn out well. The thing about this movie is, it's like I said before, this works in sketch format, like a brief, 5 to 7 minute segment. It's why Saturday Night Live movies based off of sketches are really hard to be very successful. I mean, you have every Blues Brothers and Wayne's World, or even something criminally underrated like MacGruber or Stuart Saves His Family, you get a movie like It's Pat the Movie, or Superstar, or The Ladies' Man, or Night at the Roxbury, where the joke kind of gets stale after a while. And in this case, the joke definitely gets stale pretty quickly, because it definitely has a lot of those elements of, let's have the stereotypes of this white guy clearly trying to be black. Let's put him in a neighborhood with all these with all these black people and see what happens. And you know exactly what's going to happen. And the film, I don't think the film is really that clever enough to really make it stand up on its own, or really have enough there to make this character last through the majority of the film. It's a film it's barely an hour and a half long. It's not the worst ever, and there are times when the jokes can be funny. Even the stupid joke can be really funny. Like, there's a part in the trailer where everyone is watching TV and they see Brad Gluckman and they all go, "Oh my god," at a specific is at the same time, and stuff like that will not really work that well. It's be kind of a lazy joke, but the way it's put together is kind of funny. I do like the idea of Snoop Dogg playing a rat in this and a mouse in this, and it's actually kind of amusing. You have a cast that also includes Taye Diggs, Anthony Anderson, Blair Underwood, Damian Dante Wayans, Bo Derek, Jeffrey Tambor, Cal Penn, Terry Crews, Mike Epps. A lot of good talent in this film. And they don't quite really do enough to really cement the film as something that is a really funny film. But it's not a film that I will say this, it's not as bad as some of the worst SNL sketch movies, but it's not a great movie either. It's just mostly kind of a mixed bag. I feel like this character probably could work better, maybe as a TV special, maybe, but not a full-length movie. Like a half hour I think is the maximum you can have with this character in this movie. As far as a feature film goes, I think it's a little bit too much for its own good. At times the movie can be funny, and I guess because of that, I can't really say it's a bad film per se, but I can't really say it's a great movie either. It's a film that's just kind of like, it's there. Sometimes you might get a good laugh out of it every once in a while, but it's not enough for me to say I'd recommend checking it out. I'd say for a one-time watch, maybe you might get some elements of it that are actually kind of worth it, but it's not one you're going to watch over and over again. It is what it is, and like I said, it feels like a thing that should have been just relegated to, at the bare minimum, a TV special. Maybe not a TV series, but a special one-time event where you have like a special, like a Christmas special or something like that, like a half-hour Christmas special, like they did with Urkel, like the Urkel Saves Santa one, or other characters like that. Like, contain it down to like something that is short and sweet. It works fine, but for a feature-length film, not so much. So that's my thoughts on Malibu's Most Wanted. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Chow Yun-fat and Seann William Scott in the action comedy Bulletproof Monk.
Bulletproof Monk is a blast. Kaboom! It's the bomb, diggity! Critics say it has amazing special effects.
How'd you do that?
And a great sense of humor.
What the hell are you looking at?
You're so damn beautiful. Chow Yun-fat and Seann William Scott expertly blend comedy with high-voltage action.
Yeah.
It will absolutely knock you out.
Kind of like that instrument.
Bulletproof Monk. Rated PG-13. Starts Wednesday, April 16th.
In Bulletproof Monk, Chow Yun-fat plays a mysterious monk who has no name. He zigzagged the globe to protect an ancient scroll, a scroll that holds the key to unlimited power. Unlimited power! I had to do the Emperor from Revenge of the Sith, Unlimited power! I wish I had effects on these videos I do, so I could have like the lightning bolts coming out of my hands, but it would look really cheap. But we're not talking about Star Wars right now. We're talking about Bulletproof Monk, but he has a scroll he's protecting a scroll that holds the key to unlimited power. Now the monk must look for a new scroll keeper, and Carr, played by Seann William Scott, is an unlikely candidate, a streetwise young man who's only interested in himself. So he's basically Stifler from American Pie, and I'll get to that in just a second. But when he inadvertently saves the Bulletproof Monk from capture, the two become partners in a scheme to save the world from the scroll's most avid pursuer. Back with spectacular special effects, not really, and martial arts action, the monk Carr and a sexy Russian mob girl called Bad Girl, played by Jamie King, must struggle to find, face, and fight the ultimate enemy. Let's start off with the first thing that's kind of wrong with the film right off the bat, and that's Seann William Scott, who, I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to go outside of his normal shtick, but he's just Stifler in this movie. I mean, this is really just like, he's literally the same person as Stifler from the American Pie movies that he is in this film. Now, going into later in the year, when he's in The Rundown with Dwayne Johnson, that's at least another character that I can see him not playing the same character from American Pie in. But in this, he's clearly the American Pie guy in this. And, I mean, he can get a good laugh every once in a while, but I don't think him and his chemistry with Chow Yun-fat works very well here. I don't think Jamie King works as really that intimidating of a female protagonist in here. The only real person that comes out of this unscathed is Chow Yun-fat, who really is giving it his all in the movie. Those special effects that they say are spectacular, they're really not. The action sequences in general in this are not really all that strong, and it just really doesn't live up to all the potential I think it has. I think it's because it has a first-time director involved in Paul Hunter, who is mostly known for doing stuff like the Nike freestyle commercials. He's done a lot of stuff for music videos, TV, and all that. I feel like if you got a better director to do this, maybe a John Woo, maybe he could have made this something worth it in the end, but I think they got the wrong person to direct this film. I think the writing team is not really all that strong in this either. Just so many people, and I say John Woo should do it. He was actually one of the producers on here, so maybe he was attached at one point, but then had dropped out to do the movie he would do later on in the year. But as far as this film goes, it's just not worth it. I mean, Chow Yun-fat's probably the only thing that really comes out of this, saying that there's actually some positivity to that, but it's mostly just watching him and Stifler trying to save the world, and it just really didn't feel like it was worth it on my part. Not really funny, not really all that exciting, just kind of a mediocre film at best. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie. Another comedy, that is Chasing Poppy.
What kind of a man am I?
Oh, wow.
I'm just a man. I've always loved women.
Good day, sisters.
I try to make a woman feel like she's the only one in the room.
Sister, is it too late to change my mind? Oh.
I love a woman that is comfortable with her body.
Sissy knows what she's doing.
Who isn't afraid to speak her mind.
A woman can be both beautiful and intelligent.
And who is pure and innocent.
Your only job is to find the right man who's going to take care of you.
If I ever find out there's another woman, I swear I will get you.
Seems to be the problem. I'm lightheaded, dizzy. It's like there's no blood reaching my brain. Work problems? I'm dating 3 women. Well, guess we know where all the blood is, then.
20th Century Fox presents
Surprise yourself. Surprise your man.
the story of 3 women
This can't be happening.
with nothing in common. Except the man they fell in love with.
This is ludicrous. Tomas would not cheat on me with some bookworm and a maid.
Oh, I'm the maid, all right. And I'm gonna wipe the floor with you.
Hold it! Tomas cheats on us and we're fighting with each other?
He doesn't deserve us.
Wake up, Tomas!
Now they're out to get even with the man who stole their hearts.
Too bad Thomas is gonna choose
Me over my dead body.
any way you like it.
But someone else has stolen him.
It's a federal crime to date 3 women?
No, but it should be. Let's get out of here and rescue Thomas. We're in this together.
Do you want to ride?
Not so fast, senoritas.
This spring, Rosalind Sanchez, Sofia Vergara, Jackie Velasquez,
What? I live in New York.
and Eduardo Verástegui.
You shouldn't cover your beautiful eyes with such dark glasses.
Chasing Poppy.
A toast.
Well, at least Rosalind Sanchez has a better movie here than she does with Boat Trip, but that's not really saying a whole lot. You've seen this type of a movie before. 3 women discover that their boyfriend has been dating all 3 of them at the same time. A discovery that leads them on an adventure throughout Los Angeles, California. And of course you see Rosalind Sanchez, Sofia Vergara, and also Jackie Velasquez, who the last one I don't think has been in anything of noteworthiness as far as I know, but I don't know. I need to double check now. Contemporary Christian and Latin pop singer. I honestly didn't know anything about her until I saw this movie, and I saw the movie, and like I said, it's pretty much the same film we've seen done before. You know, it's that movie. It's like that movie Worth Winning with Mark Harmon, where he's dating the 3 different women, and they find out that they're all dating the same person. It's The Other Woman, you know, with Cameron Diaz. It's that same type of a film. 3 women find out they're dating the same person. It's so the same that I can't even hold my breath together. But yeah, there's really nothing more I can say about this film. It's not really all that really interesting. It's not really all that It's not. I just said it's not really all that interesting. It's not really all that funny. There's nothing really all that different compared to those movies I just mentioned. I would say that probably this is one of the better movies that takes that formula and tries to make something out of it. But even then, that's not really saying a whole lot, because this movie itself isn't really all that great. They're not really giving these actresses a chance to really do anything that funny. They just be like, just react to stuff and don't even be like, you know, like don't have a real sense of characters. Like you have one who's the bookworm, you know, one who's the sexy mistress, one who has like one who I can't even remember what her character was. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, and so like there's nothing really all that different. And you got this 4th woman in there who's just kind of thrown into the ring in there to kind of like change it up a little bit. But even then, it's just like what's the point here? I mean, you got D.L. Hughley in here as well. You have Freddie Rodriguez, Maria Conchita Alonso. That's really all I know about this film that's maybe worth it. I mean, there's nothing really all that funny. There's clearly a lot of talent in here that probably needed something better in terms of a script and a good director to actually make this something unique and different. But it's a film we've seen done to death so many times beforehand, and it very rarely works. And even when it does work with something like The Other Woman, it's a very formulaic film that just feels like it's nothing really that groundbreaking or anything. It's just kind of like you did the best job out of all these other movies that tried to make this work, and even then, it's nothing really that special overall. But that's just my personal take on it. So that's Chasing Poppy. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, which I think is, aside from Holes, probably the best overall film we have this week, and that's Christopher Guest's A Mighty Wind.
Excuse me, I must be full. It's like that wire. I see a wire. I see a towel.
I feel ready for a voyage on this magnificent vessel.
I love it.
What if we see sailfish?
When folk icon Irving Steinblum passes away, he leaves behind a legacy of music and family and performers. He is shepherd to folk stardom. To celebrate a life spent submerged in folk, Irving's long-loving son, Jonathan, has decided to put together a memorial concert featuring some of Steinblum's best-loved musicians. There's Mitch and Mickey, who are the epitome of young love until their partnership was torn apart by heartbreak. Classic troubadours, the Folksmen, whose records were endlessly entertaining for anyone able to punch a hole in the center to play them. The new mainstream singers, who are the most meticulously color-coordinated new fit ever to hit an amusement park. And now for one night only in New York City's Town Hall, these three groups will reunite and gather together to celebrate the music that almost made them famous. And it's a movie by Christopher Guest, and of course it's going to have a lot of SCTV regulars. Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Harry Shearer, Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, of course, Jane Lynch, John Michael Higgins, Parker Posey, Fred Willard, Bob Balaban, Jennifer Cooley, Christopher Moynihan, Don Lake, Ed Begley Jr., Rachel Harris, Larry Miller. Just a great group of talent in here, and they are really, really fun to watch. I mean, Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy are having the time of their lives playing these different characters, and it's just fun to see them do something kind of outside of their norm. It's a very funny film. The music is surprisingly really good, too. I'm not really much of a folk music person, but I found myself really enjoying the music in this a lot. It's a very good film. It's a film that is probably my favorite of Christopher Guest's work. I mean, he's done a lot of great stuff, like This is Spinal Tap, and his most recent film at that point was Best in Show, but this is probably my overall favorite film from him. And Waiting for Guffman, of course. And this is probably my favorite film overall from him. Very funny stuff, really well done, great writing, great cast overall to make it work. It's a really damn good movie. I can't recommend it enough. A Mighty Wind.
What happened at the night?
It was an accident. We had an accident.
On April 25th,
The roads were all flooded and I could use the room.
I'm not staying here. Are you out of your mind?
10 strangers
Stuck here. I don't think we can get out tonight.
are about to discover
Maybe there's some connection between all of us.
they're not strangers
My birthday next week.
Me too.
Me too.
at all. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
We need to leave. I saw. We all saw what happened.
Identity. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, April 25th.
Taking a story that's inspired by Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, you follow the story of 10 strangers in an isolated hotel who are temporarily cut off from the rest of the world and mysteriously killed off one by one. Several events that take place in the film in the hours before the characters' arrival are introduced as key moments in the film using reverse chronology structure. And in a parallel story, a murderer awaits a verdict at a crucial trial that will determine whether he will be executed for his crimes. And like I said, this is directed by James Mangold, who's made a ton of great films in his career. Walk the Line is a really good movie. The Wolverine, Logan. I really liked what he did with Indiana Jones. I don't care what anybody says. I like Dial of Destiny. It may be the second to worst Indiana Jones movie, but it's still better than Temple of Doom. But in terms of this movie, it's a really good movie. It's a really good thriller that really does keep you on the edge of your seat with a great cast that includes a lot of really good talented people. John Cusack, Ray Liotta, Amanda Peet, John C. McGinley, Alfred Molina, Clea Duvall, Rebecca De Mornay, John Hawkes. Just a phenomenal cast in general here. They all work off each other very well here. The film is very stylized, very cool looking. And again, it just keeps you on the edge of your seat of what's going to happen. Like, who's going to be the one that survives this whole thing, and like who done what, so on and so forth. And I like that the film does keep it in an area where you can't really figure it out right away, and so you got to watch and keep watching what they're doing to see who's going to be doing what next. And that's what I really like about the film. It does keep you on the edge of your seat, and it really does keep you invested and wants you to stick around to see what the final resolution is going to be. And some people have criticized the ending, which can be seen as kind of hit and miss, but I like the direction they went with it. So, yeah, I recommend this movie a lot. Identity, really good film. Shows you what James Mangold could do as a director. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Confidence.
Critics are feeling confidence. People on the mind.
This is actually so technical.
4 stars. A stylish, compelling crime caper.
You do not want to scare me, Jim. You just never know when I'm going to lose it.
Dustin Hoffman is brilliant.
Let me do that. Care about it.
It will keep you guessing and laughing from beginning to end. Confidence.
Oh my God, give me a moment.
What do you say you get the ADD under control? You look me in the eye when I'm talking to you.
Rated R. In theaters everywhere.
So Confidence, which kind of sounds like a song you would hear in Wicked. Confidence. It's all about confidence. Like, it really, like, I don't know why. I just keep thinking back to the song Popular from Wicked. Maybe it's because the new trailer has just come out at the time of recording this. But anyway, we're not talking about that movie. At least not yet. We'll save that for later on in the year. But in this movie's case, Confidence, it's directed by James Foley and follows a guy named Jake Vigg, who is the consummate grifter, about to pull off his biggest con yet, once set to avenge his friend's murder, but his last scam backfired, leaving him indebted to a mob boss and his enforcer. Jake Vigg is played by Dustin Hoffman, and this also includes a cast of Edward Burns. Dustin Hoffman stars as the King, Winston King, and you have a cast that includes Rachel Weisz, Andy Garcia, Paul Giamatti, Brian Van Holt, Frankie G, Louis Guzman, Donald Lowe, Morris Chestnut, John Carroll Lynch, Robert Forster, Lena Norser. Just a big cast in general. Kind of like with Identity, this is kind of an underrated crime drama. It's a film by James Foley, like I said. His last overall good film, because he would follow this up with Perfect Stranger, which was then terrible Halle Berry, Bruce Willis movie, and then end your career with 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. I don't think I need to say too much more about why those movies are terrible, but this movie in particular, I think it's kind of underrated. Dustin Hoffman, I think, is very good in the film. Everybody here is very good. You know, Rachel Weisz, Andy Garcia, Edward Burns. It does kind of go into a little bit too more predictable territory than something like Identity does. And it does kind of hurt it in the long run here, but the film is mercifully short. It's only about 97 minutes long, so it doesn't really feel like it's dragging along here. And once you're done watching it, it's just kind of like, that was actually kind of decent. I mean, it was a pretty good movie in general. I mean, it's a film that I think delivers everything it promises. The ending could have been a little bit better, but for what they deliver here, I thought it worked okay for what it was. I'd recommend it. If you want to see some underrated work by Hoffman, Garcia, Burns, and Weisz, this is definitely fun to check out. And the last great film James Foley directed, so. Okay, great may be an understatement. Maybe good is probably the best way to overstatement. Good is probably the best way to describe this film. It's good. It's a good movie, just like our next movie, which is Michael Douglas teaming up with his father, Kirk Douglas, as well as many of the Douglas family, and It Runs in the Family.
Everybody's come to the table.
From generation to generation.
You're a much better father than I was.
From father to son. You didn't exactly set the bar all that high. This family can survive anything. As long as they have each other. Michael Douglas. Kirk Douglas. It Runs in the Family. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, April 25th.
Only the second movie by MGM with the title It Runs in the Family. Of course, My Summer Story had the original title of It Runs in the Family back in 1994. Then it changed to My Summer Story, and thus, here we have this movie here. Wealth can't spread 3 male generations of the dysfunctional Jewish New York Romberg family grief of grim reality. However successful in life, Alex never felt pleasing pride or proper parental support from a springy patriarch, Mitchell. Alex is played by Michael Douglas. Mitchell is played by Kirk Douglas, who sarcastically imposes his own values and priorities on everyone and everything. Alex starts despairing that his modern permissiveness may have ruined his own bright firstborn, college-born Asher, who is played by Cameron Douglas. Couldn't remember the first name of him, but unlike adoring kid brother Eli, a dorm drug bust pushes things to the limit or beyond. And strong cast in general here. You got 3 different generations of the Douglas family in here. Of course, Michael Douglas, his son Cameron, Diana Douglas, his real life mother, the Michael Douglas, an ex-wife of Kirk. Joel Douglas, the second son of Kirk and Diana, was also an associate producer on here. But in addition to them, you've got Rory Culkin in here, Bernadette Peters, Michelle Monaghan looking beautiful in this. I mean, this was the first big movie she was ever in, and she lets you know that she's here. And boy, does she let you know. And Annie Golden from Cheers, who was Cliff's girlfriend. Audra McDonald, who's a great Broadway performer, done a lot of stuff. Adrian Martinez. Directed by Fred Gillespie, who did a couple criminally underrated films. IQ, The Russia House, Roxanne was a great film. Fierce Creatures. This is another one where it's a really good underrated film that didn't do very well when it came out. It was actually seen as kind of a flop at the time, but it's fun seeing Michael Douglas and the Douglas family coming together for something like this. In fact, Michael Douglas had a couple of movies in 2003 that were kind of underrated. Wait till we get to The In-Laws with Albert Brooks, which I think is very underrated, even though a lot of people... It pales in comparison to the original, but I still like that one a lot. But we still have to have another month to get to that one. But this is a really fun film. I think it's very cool to see the Douglas family coming together. They put together a really strong cast here to make it work. It's kind of a precursor to stuff like... There was a little bit of a trend starting with, like, The Family Stone and, like, Dan in Real Life, this Christmas, where everybody comes together, this big family gathering. And I think this was the first film that really kind of started that trend. And I thought it was a very well-made film. I thought there was a lot there to really appreciate. There was a lot of effort being put into it. I thought it worked very well. I thought it was a ton of fun. I think it's a criminally underrated film. It's definitely one you should definitely check out. It runs in the family. One that you shouldn't check out is the film that says, you know, reality TV is already such a scripted thing. Why don't we just make a movie that's probably scripted? And people will come and see it. That was probably the thinking of New Line Cinema with The Real Cancun.
1,000 college students. New Line Cinema picks 16 for the ultimate experiment in reality filmmaking.
Girls go on spring break to find guys like me.
I'm from Brandon, Wisconsin. People consider me naughty in my town.
I've never drank alcohol.
I'm gonna find Alex some girl and he's gonna drink.
Where reality TV ends, this movie begins.
So anything else you wanna make out or something?
The Real Cancun, only in theaters, rated R.
You know, I think the Simpsons movie probably has the best clip that really sums up the overall reaction most people probably had to this film.
Can't believe we're paying to see something we get on TV for free.
Which, funny enough, also has the same clip of New Line Cinema executives probably looking at the audience and going like this.
Everybody in this theater is a giant sucker, especially you.
They really thought that this was going to be the next big thing, to the point where the trailer is just as ridiculous as that TV spot is. And let me just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here.
This spring, the producers of The Real World bring you the ultimate experiment in reality filmmaking.
I think Cancun, I'll see if anybody that smells like me.
Girls go on spring break to find guys like me.
Why do we need guys? I would just call me girlfriend.
Dude, you did that.
I cannot pick anyone.
16 college students, 1 week in Cancun. The cameras weren't the only things rolling.
I'm sorry, no more now. Never promise.
The Real Cancun. Anything can happen during spring break. And it did. Only in theaters.
Now imagine going into The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers. You're ready to see Peter Jackson's latest epic film, and then this trailer comes up. And you're wondering, wow, that looks incredibly cheap. Just the trailer that just has nothing but people just saying lines, and like there's no real footage there. And there's a good reason for that, because the movie wasn't even an idea when that trailer probably was released. It wasn't even filmed, I should say, because here's the synopsis for this. The film follows the lives of 16 Americans from March 13th to the 23rd of 2003 as they celebrate spring break in Cancun, Mexico, and experience romantic relationships, emotional strife, or just have a good time. And I think you can see why this movie looks so cheap. March 13th to the 23rd of 2003. This movie came out on April 25th, 2003. They took a whole month to get this movie made. They spent $7.5 million on this movie. And they really thought that this was going to be the next big thing. And you think I'm joking, but nope. There was actually plans for a, believe it or not, a reality movie based on the Girls Gone Wild series that MGM had bought the rights to that never got put into production. There was a Universal Pictures film called Drunken Jackasses The Quest, which is probably not related to Jackass, which is probably the reason why we even had this movie to begin with. And ultimately was delayed after the flop of Cancun, and ultimately went straight to video, which you could see why. This thing is absolutely horrible. Like this, it's bad enough to watch reality television on its own. You expect people to pay $7.50 in a movie theater to see this film. You're out of your goddamn mind. And sure enough, America was actually smart and decided, no, we're not going to do this to ourselves. I mean, we can watch this on TV and be mystified by how stupid it is on that front, but we're not going to spend $7.50 to go see this on a big screen. Like, I don't care if this is technically the film debut of Laura Ramsey. It's literally on the Wikipedia page. It's the film debut of Laura Ramsey because she's clearly done a lot since this movie's come out. Oh, and we also have guys like Hot Action Cop and Simple Plan and Snoop Dogg, but Hot Action Cop, man. I mean, how could you go wrong with a guy that's named Hot Action Cop? Oh, and I also love how it also says written by in the credits. Because reality television, it's supposed to be real life. And that's why we have somebody who writes the script for this. Because, I'm baffled. I'm at a loss of words. I mean, really, what more can I say about this? This is the epitome of everything that's wrong with reality entertainment as a whole. That somebody at New Line said, I've got a great idea. Let's take something that's on TV for free, not even a TV show that people want to see, but let's make a reality movie and just see what happens. We'll even get the guys from the real world to do it because that's going to help save the film in the long run, and no, it did not. I mean, do I really need to say much more about this? And first of all, the first reality feature film, which Jackass the movie apparently didn't come out the year before, which that's a better film because the Jackass guys knew what they were doing. They know that they had to up the ante and make something that was different from the TV show. This is nothing like anything you would see on television, except that, it's got more boobs and more swear words in there. It's just a sloppy mess of a film that has no reason to exist at all. This is one of the worst things of entertainment I have ever seen in my entire life. There's nothing valuable to it. There's no effort put into it whatsoever. This thing didn't even last a month in theaters. Between the time that they shot the movie to the time that the film left theaters was 2 months. 2 months of nothingness. What was really gained from this? What was really the point of this movie existing? Like, we'll get to Front Justin to Kelly later on, because that's another one of those movies that's kind of the same element as these reality movies, because it has a lot of people from American Idol, but that at least had a script to it. That at least had a story to tell. This does not, and you know what? For somebody that doesn't like reality television like myself, this is absolutely something I don't want to see on a big screen, and thank God this never became a trend, because I don't think we could have lived with what would have happened afterwards if this thing had become a success. Like, I'm sure we would have gotten, the Joe Millionaire movie, or the Simple Life movie, or a Real Apprentice movie starring Donald Trump. Like, can you imagine if this movie had been successful and we got all those and then some? Mike Fleiss would have his own cinematic universe, The Mike Fleiss, history's greatest monster, for the way that he portrays romance on television with those god-awful Bachelor shows, which, hey, good job on The Golden Bachelor. Too bad the guy who just got married and you made such a big deal out of it is no longer married to his wife. So that's another relationship on that show completely thrust down the toilet. I'm just kind of ranting about reality television. I hate reality television so much. It's because of reality television that the world that we live in is as chaotic as it is right now. That's the real reason why the world is so screwed up, is because of these stupid reality television shows. And I can't believe somebody really had the nerve and the balls to say, we can bring this to the big screen, and people will love it. And everyone just said, go fuck yourself, man. Because, no. Nobody really gave it a chance. And, yeah. I got nothing else for you, man. The real Cancun, just no. Just no. Like, just no. So let's wrap the show up with something much better than this piece of garbage. A criminally underrated Al Pacino film called People I Know.
You saw someone do something. Perhaps they saw you too.
I don't know what I'm seeing half the time. I don't remember things.
You really changed the world, Eli.
Every once in a while, I get to do something. Watch what?
Should you do anything for me?
Where's my claw, you bastard?
I got all you guys.
We're concerned about the political future of our state. We need to run someone who's going to beat this man. Your client is not that person. I got out of AC line. She was taking pictures. The images end up on the internet.
Did someone kill that girl in their toy?
Are you blackpicking your only client? You need names. In order to beget power, you need the people. After a lifetime of knowing all the right people,
It's politics, you know? It's just politics.
what could go wrong? Don't forget how much I know. People I know.
So in this movie, Al Pacino plays Eli Warman, who is a dedicated drug-addicted New York public relations who is promoting a social event on behalf of Afro-Americans. Along 2 days of his crazy life, the day of the event and the day before, he makes contacts and favors, kissing asses, using drugs, etc. Victoria Graves is his widowed sister-in-law and the passion in the past. Carrie Lawner is an Oscar-winning actor who is a principal client of Eli. On the day before the event, Eli finds out secrets that involves powerful men of America. And this is a film that was one of the many films that got pushed back because of September 11th. They actually postponed this was originally supposed to come out in 2001 and filmed back in February 2001, but got postponed for an October 2002 release due to them containing shots of the World Trade Center, but didn't get an official U.S. release until April 2003. And you see the cast there: Al Pacino, Kim Basinger, Ryan O'Neal, which is clearly a better movie than the film we saw him in last week in Malibu's Most Wanted. Taya Leone, Richard Schiff, who I did not know actually got a credit on here. That's very rare for a character actor of his status. Bill Nunn, Robert Klein, Mark Webber. I mean, just a phenomenal cast in general here. And the film that is really, really damn good. It's a film that really not a lot of people ever talked about. The first time I ever heard about this movie was when Ebert and Roper did there was a DVD pick of the week, and I think it was, I can't remember if it was Roger who suggested this or Richard Roper who suggested this, but it was a film on there, and I didn't see it until later on down the road, but I remember seeing it somewhere. I saw it dirt cheap, and it's just like, you know what, I'll go ahead and check it out, see if it's got anything to it, and it's a really damn good movie. It's a very restrained performance for Al Pacino than what we're used to seeing him in. Him and Kim Basinger work off each other very well here. It's just got a phenomenal cast to work with in general. It's a very intriguing and investing film. And it's also short, too. It's not a long movie in general, but you do get the gist of what it's trying to go for here. And I think it's a film that's much better than I think people let on. It's definitely a very underrated film, and one you should definitely check out. People I Know.